Well, hi. It's been a long time, hasn't it? Now, this is a bit of a weird one. Now, from where you are, this probably looks like my 35D. However, my 35D no longer exists. It is gone. And, in a way, good riddance. Because I didn't like that car very much. I didn't get on with it. I am in my brand new M2 competition DCT. I've had it exactly a week now. And Sod's Law, when I had it delivered, I had probably one of the worst flus I've had in about 3 or 4 years. And I haven't been sick for about 3 or 4 years. That really knocked the wind out of me. And not only that, it was minus, and there was snow, and in a few days where it wasn't snowing, it was 2 Celsius, and I had this weapon of a car, and I wasn't able to drive it. But today it's sunny. It's at the moment it's saying 8, but I believe it's going to peak at 10. Now, I want to try and do a review of the car, but I don't have all the equipment. When I moved house, I boxed everything up and I just effed off everything YouTube. That was a complete accident. Alright, let's try it. Let's crack on with this, okay? So, brand new M2 competition from the factory, 405, 410 horsepower, about the same in torque, 550 Newton meters, I believe it is. It is a very fast car, and it's completely different to the M3 competition, a standard M4, and the M2. I've driven all 3 of those, and I disliked all 3 of them, mostly because of this. And actually, I did like the M2. The M2 had a good feel for its steering wheel, to be fair, but the suspension rolled too much. You could feel it kind of wobble. It was a bit odd. I didn't really get on with it. I liked it, but yeah, I just didn't get on with it. It wasn't enough. And BMW obviously knew that, and that's how we have this car now. So, for those of you that don't know, I'll be living in a cave. The M2 is no longer produced, and it's been replaced by this model, the M2 competition. And there are many differences between the two, but the major one is the engine. It has the S55 engine from the M3, M4, and all of those models that have that engine. They're all identical, they're all just tuned slightly differently, and one of them had a completely ridiculous and pointless like water injection that was in the boot. So I absolutely love this car. This is the best car I've driven in years. Seriously, I have been a miserable git. I have not enjoyed a single car that's been brought out recently with the electric power steering. One of my favourite cars that I ever drove was the Cadillac CTS-V Coupe, which is a Cadillac CTS-V, a coupe, and it has the 6.2 supercharged engine from the Corvette Z06 that's been slightly detuned to around 500-ish horsepower. That car was mental. It would never grip, and this was in LA when it was 25 Celsius, and I had Michelin Cup 2s even when they were warm. It used to just spin up. And this car just feels exactly like that car, but just smaller. sideways all day long. It's so torquey, and it's beautiful. And it reminds me of my M3. This car is good enough for me to forget about my M3. I can't believe I'm saying this. It does everything. It does everything I want in a car. It's got that straight six. It's got that boost feeling that I like. It's torquey. It revs quite high. It revs just above 7,000. And it just handles beautifully. It reminds me of Alpina. Alpina, if you saw one of my old review of that, I couldn't sing the praise of that car enough. That was such a good car. That was the best F series model I have ever had the privilege of driving. The suspension, the traction, the handling, the feel for the steering wheel, it was just amazing. Now, no other M car that I've driven, which I mentioned earlier, that's the M3 competition, M4 standard original model, the first one, that was a bit of a nightmare, and an M2, doesn't feel anything like this. This feels completely different. I don't know what they've done, but whatever they've done at M Division, everything's forgiven. Honestly, it's this car makes the M4 and the M3 completely and utterly redundant and pointless. Yeah. No, well, maybe not the M3, but definitely the M4. The M4, now I'm going to rub some people out the wrong way of this. I think is a very ugly car. I think the 4 Series is ugly. And I think the M4 is ugly too. And with the M3, you have that more pronounced looking flared arches. It looks more aggressive. It looks more like an M car. And this has made the M4 redundant. Completely and utterly pointless because it's a 2-door coupe. It looks better. It weighs about the same and it makes a little bit less horsepower. Officially. There's no way in hell this is making 405 or 410. It's making the full fat 420, 430 easily. You can feel it. It is a big girl. It's 1,600 kilos. It's heavy. It is a very heavy car. But you don't feel it. You don't feel it at all. The only thing that gives it away is that little bit of understeer if you overcook it into a corner. But if you learn the car, it's not hard to compensate with a bit of throttle, as you probably witnessed just now. Or if I'm going to leave that in, I'm not sure if I should. This car just goes sideways on demand. If you turn off traction control, it's just game over. I've lost traction in first, second and third, just rolling on the throttle. If it's running a stage 1 file, I've got to be very careful what I say here because of the whole S3 dramas that I had. If this was running Bootmod3 and running stage 1 high octane, it's well over 500 horsepower, and I don't even know what the torque is, but it's probably something ridiculous because it certainly feels ridiculous. The beauty of Bootmod3 is that you can flash it back and relock the DME when you take it in for a service. I tell you what's weird, okay? Let's not talk about the power. Everyone's gone on and on about it. I'm going to talk about something else that people haven't really seemed to have picked up on. Now, I've just come out of a expensive 35D F30 17 plate. It's the facelift. This car feels more luxurious inside. Honestly, it feels more expensive inside. The interior feels more high-end. The materials feel better. Only this middle bit here where the gear stick is plastic, just like it is in the 3 Series. It feels like a plusher 3 Series. And you know, one thing that I really love is this armrest. It slides, and it doesn't do that on the 3 Series. And that's a bugbear of mine, and I love that because it gives me some. Oh my god, this thing's fast. I've got it in Sport Plus just for shits and giggles, really. It doesn't matter what mode you got it in, it will just go ballistic. But yeah, the interior feels plush, everything from the steering wheel, which is the same as what I had before, but you've got the M stitching. You've got lovely paddles, you've got a proper dual clutch transmission. Now, I actually prefer the ZF8. I think that's actually a better gearbox, to be honest with you. It crawls, it's smooth. This is a bit jerky, especially when parking. It's not as good as Volkswagen's DSG, if I'm being completely honest. But it is a very fast, aggressive transmission, and I can understand why it's in here, because that's what this car is. It's fast and aggressive, right? So give it a fast, aggressive gearbox. It's so fast. Now, I've done some little tweaks. So I've turned off the stupid sound, the fake sound, which comes through the speakers. I've turned it off myself. So you've got none of that fake noise. Everything you're hearing is engine and exhaust, and that's all, you know, standard. You can hear the turbos whooshing sometimes, and it sounds pretty cool. It's just a fantastic car, it really is. It's just a complete package. But I'm just blown away by the interior, because I expected it to be a low rent version of my 3 Series, and that is not the case. And I also really like the fact that the clocks, though they've got they're fake LCD, they're not LCD, okay, but they have that kind of look, but they're still analog, and I like that. I like the analog clocks. I prefer it to silly, you know, computer Google Mappy. I don't need any of that shit, you know. I've got a smartphone, I've got an iPad, I've got a computer. Sat-navness is fantastic, entertainment system's fantastic, and all comes standard. I've got no options on this. Am I in the right place? Yes, I am. Right, I'm going to take a quick break, because today is a day that I get to do something quite special, but I'll talk about it. Oh wow, this is time. I'll talk about that another time. I'm having to go into Health Frauds to pick something up, because someone screwed up and didn't send me my private plates in time, and I've got 3 days. Today's the 3rd day to do it, so I've had to buy some temporary plates, I guess you would call it, from Health Frauds. Should stop calling Health Frauds, you know. Alright, cool.